It is 6 a.m. A violent, high-pitched electronic chime pierces the darkness of your bedroom. Your heart surges into your throat as your nervous system is flooded with a sudden spike of cortisol. You groggily reach out, slap a glowing glass rectangle, and pull yourself out of bed. You feel heavy, disoriented, and exhausted. You head to the kitchen to force down a cup of black liquid just to make your brain function. You tell yourself that you are broken. You blame yourself for lying awake at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling, wondering why you couldn't just sleep through the night like a normal human being. But for 99% of human history, the way you slept last night didn't exist. For roughly 300,000 years, our ancestors never set an alarm. They never slept in a single, uninterrupted 8-hour block. They never laid awake in the dark feeling guilty for being awake at midnight. Yet, they woke up refreshed, attuned to the earth, and at peace. Today, over 70 million adults in the United States alone suffer from chronic sleep disorders. Insomnia prescriptions are at an all-time high, and an entire multi-billion-dollar industry sells us melatonin, weighted blankets, and tracking rings just to help us do what every wild animal does effortlessly. So what happened? How did the most natural biological function on Earth become an agonizing nightly struggle? And why is your inability to sleep through the night not a medical failure, but an ancient evolutionary feature? Let's start with the biology of deep time. In the early 1990s, a psychiatrist named Thomas Ware conducted an experiment at the National Institute of Mental Health. He placed a group of people in an environment without artificial light for 14 hours a day. For the first few days, the subjects slept as modern people do, but by the second week, something extraordinary happened. Their bodies naturally shifted into an entirely different sleep architecture. They didn't sleep for 8 continuous hours. Instead, they fell asleep for roughly 4 hours, woke up into a state of quiet, meditative alertness for 1 to 2 hours, and then fell back asleep for another 4 hours. This is called biphasic sleep, or segmented sleep. And when historians re-examined ancient texts, medieval diaries, and anthropological records, they found that this was the universal pattern of human rest for hundreds of thousands of years. Our ancestors called it first sleep and second sleep. You would go to sleep shortly after twilight as the campfire burned down. Around midnight, you would naturally wake up. This middle period was not a time of panic or frustration. It was a sacred, peaceful interval. In hunter-gatherer bands, people used these quiet nighttime hours to tend the fire, talk softly with tribe members, reflect on their dreams, or share intimacy. Their brains during this time were producing high levels of prolactin, a hormone that induces a state of serene, meditative calm. You were never meant to sleep like a corpse for 8 straight hours. When you wake up at 2 a.m. in your dark bedroom, your body is simply trying to execute an ancient biological program that kept your ancestors alive and connected for 300,000 years. To understand why this system evolved, we have to look at something called the Sentinel Hypothesis. In a wild environment filled with nocturnal predators like saber-toothed cats, cave hyenas, and rival groups, a tribe where everyone slept deeply at the exact same time for 8 straight hours would have been wiped out within a generation. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherers, such as the Hadza of Tanzania, found that across a single group, there is almost no time during the night when everyone is asleep simultaneously. The elderly, who naturally sleep on an earlier shift, wake up around midnight. The younger hunters, who stay awake later, guard the early hours. By staggering sleep patterns across generations, the tribe maintained a living, rotating perimeter of biological watchmen. Waking up in the middle of the night wasn't an illness. It was a survival mechanism that kept your family alive in the dark. Beyond the timing of our sleep, there is another fundamental mismatch: the thermal environment. Modern humans sleep in insulated, temperature-controlled rooms with thermal mattresses and heavy blankets. We strive for a constant, unchanging 70 degrees Fahrenheit. In nature, however, ambient temperature is never static. It rises and falls on a continuous cycle. Evolutionary biologists note that natural sleep cycles are directly triggered by the environmental drop in temperature after sunset. As the Earth cools, your body releases heat from its core to initiate deep sleep. Then, around dawn, the ambient temperature hits its lowest point before rising with the morning sun, triggering a gentle pulse of cortisol that naturally wakes you up. By wrapping ourselves in artificial, constant warmth, We cut off the vital thermal cues that guide our brains in and out of restorative REM and slow-wave sleep phases. We have insulated ourselves out of our natural circadian feedback loop. Then there is the issue of surface pressure and biological grounding. Modern humans sleep elevated off the earth on synthetic, spring-filled mattresses that isolate our bodies from physical contact with the environment. For 300,000 years, humans slept on natural earth, furs, or vegetation. This constant physical contact meant the body was attuned to tactile feedback from the terrain and subtle environmental changes. Today, we lie trapped in artificial microclimates of memory foam that retain heat, trap humidity, and restrict natural nocturnal posture shifts, preventing our musculoskeletal system from relaxing deeply during deep wave recovery. Furthermore, consider the evolutionary function of dreaming itself. Modern society treats dreams as bizarre, meaningless side effects of a brain clearing its cache. But to our ancestors, dreams were a vital virtual reality simulator. During REM sleep, the ancient brain rehearsed survival scenarios, confronting predators, navigating terrain, and negotiating tribal conflict, all while the physical body was safely paralyzed. When we disrupt REM sleep through alcohol, late-night meals, or blue light, we destroy our brain's natural emotional processing unit. We wake up feeling anxious and emotionally vulnerable because we robbed our mind of its nightly survival rehearsal. So what destroyed these ancient rhythms entirely? About 150 years ago, the trap snapped shut. Thomas Edison perfected the incandescent light bulb, and the Industrial Revolution demanded something humanity had never seen before: synchronized, uninterrupted labor. Factories required workers to operate on a strict, artificial schedule to maximize efficiency. The industrial system needed humans to consolidate all their sleep into one single block at night, so they could report to the assembly line for 10 straight hours during the day. Suddenly, waking up in the middle of the night was no longer a sacred period of quiet reflection. It was a defect. It was an inconvenience to the machine. We invented the concept of insomnia at the exact same moment we invented the 24-hour factory floor. We redefined natural human biology as a medical disorder, simply because it didn't align with corporate productivity. And then came the screen. Your brain does not know what a smartphone is. It does not understand liquid crystal displays or LED backlights. To the primitive suprachiasmatic nucleus inside your skull, the master circadian clock. A glowing screen held 6 inches from your face is a miniature sun shining at midnight. When you scroll through social media or watch videos in bed, you are signaling to your ancient brain that you are standing in the middle of a sunlit field at high noon. Your pineal gland instantly shuts down the production of melatonin, keeping your nervous system trapped in a state of hypervigilance. We have built a world that burns artificial light 24 hours a day, demands relentless output, and sells us pills when our primitive biology rebels against the cage. We trade our rest for productivity, and then we spend our earnings trying to buy back the peace we surrendered. Your ancestors didn't fight their sleep. They didn't measure their sleep cycles with algorithms, and they didn't treat rest as a reward that had to be earned after a long day of labor. Rest was simply part of being alive. It was synchronized with the rising and setting of the sun, the changing of the seasons, the ambient drop in temperature, and the quiet rhythm of the earth beneath them. It is time to stop blaming yourself for being human in an inhuman system. You are not broken. Your body is simply remembering a time when life was not measured by an alarm clock. If this video opened your eyes to the hidden forces shaping your daily life, I ask you to join this community right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into the evolutionary traps of the modern world. We are building a tribe of conscious minds committed to reclaiming our human nature. I want to hear from you down in the comments below. Do you struggle with waking up at 2 a.m.? How does knowing about biphasic sleep, the Sentinel Hypothesis, and REM survival rehearsal change how you view your rest? Share your experience. Leave a like to help spread this message to others who are struggling, and share this video with a friend who is tired of feeling broken. Put down the screen, cool down your room, look up at the stars tonight, and let your ancient mind rest. Thank you for watching.